you. Ooh, I love you, love you. I do need you, need you. I do, I love you, I do need you. I love you, love you. I do need you. Ooh, I love you, I do need you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Overlooked broadcast. The wait is over. The organisation have picked up their roster and qualified for the main event. Now it's time to see how they fare in the GSL bracket. It's myself, Sir Pegasus, joined by Rhino.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hope you're all doing very well. Overlooked survived a little bit of a scare in GSL last week. Certainly made us scared here on the desk. Went all the way to 5, but we were able to see it through. And qualification is the most important thing from Swiss. And sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Open 1 was a very similar story for this roster, going all the way through into round 5 in Swiss, but still managed to get a top 4 finish. So Pegasus, who knows what we could see today?
This team is proving to be very, very unpredictable. They can have their moments where they completely pop off, and the GSL stage specifically for this roster was that time during Open 1. They didn't have the best record in the Swiss stage, as you mentioned. They didn't have the best record in a hybrid bracket either. Of course, those two matches they had to play were tough, and actually the opponents we play in this upcoming matchup was one of those teams that they fell to in the hybrid bracket. So why don't we have a look at these two rosters and really see what we're going to have to deal with in this round one. It's not going to be an easy affair. It is going to be Overlooked versus the #1 seed in APAC. And when you're looking at these two teams, a certain name certainly crops up. The reigning 7-time in a row champion for these APAC regionals, the 17-year-old, already world main event contender and arguably the greatest to ever do it in this region, Sphinx. And I mean, that just goes to show you already, Rhino, that despite the other two players on the roster being so strong within their own right, there is still that Sphinx factor, which is just on a league of its own.
Yeah, it does feel like this is just Sphinx's region and we are living in it, very much so, as Sphinx has been at the top of his game for so long. I mean, you look at the other two names on this board, of course, Catalysm also coming through. This will be his seventh Open championship in a row as well, of course, because Sphinx and Catalysm teamed up with each other last season. So there's a lot to like about Project De La Cruz, and I think they were easily the odds-on favourites to take the region in pretty convincing fashion at the start of the season, and they have lived up to every expectation that we had for them. And to be fair, of course we're here for Overlooked and we want to see Overlooked do well, but you really can't deny this Project De La Cruz team of being the best.
Absolutely not. This is a huge test for Overlooked coming out in this GSL, and like I said, there is experience there against this side. When you look in Open 1, it was that 2-0 bracket where these two teams actually faced. It was a sweeping victory for Project De La Cruz, which many people did expect, but that's what started what almost was the downfall for Daybreak Frontline, as they were called at the time. They ended up losing that round 4 matchup. That's what sent them to round 5. Project De La Cruz potentially causing that crash and burn effect for this roster, but like they did this Open, they showed some personality. They were able to get themselves back and of course make it here to GSL. But then we also played them in the semi-finals. That's why we are considered a top 4 team, is because unfortunately we couldn't beat the very, very best. So any kind of fight in this upper round 1 would be extremely impressive from the roster. It is unfortunate, of course, to be playing a team like Project De La Cruz, but if you're going to go all the way to round 5 of Swiss, Rhino, this is the seeding you just have to expect.
Yeah, it certainly is. And a lot of teams in these kinds of regions playing against teams like Project De La Cruz, they will just take these games as free hits, right? The one thing you cannot do is go into this game expecting to play your best ever Rocket League, expecting to take home a victory. You can't go in with that mentality, because a team like Project De La Cruz are going to shatter your mentals before they've even started in the GSL bracket. So I hope Overlooked have talked among themselves, and Nunki knows this. He's been in the region for a very long time.
Yes.
That they need to be very aware of what they're going up against, and they almost need to go in with a feeling of, well, let's put our best foot forwards. It may not be enough today. If it is, then great. If not, we expect that, and we know what we're doing in the lower side of this bracket, and we're prepared for that. And I think that's how Nunki will have set the boys up today, because that lower bracket does look like the run could go all the way.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about the performances on the pitch, and we know that there is going to be definitely a clear favourite in that regards, being Project De La Cruz. But like you mentioned, the real focus is going to be that off the pitch, that mentality. It's not very often that I ever go on a team stream and say this, Rhino, but this is one where you do actually have to subdue your expectations as a player. Yeah. You don't want to crash and burn. You can't fall victim like you did in that Swiss stage when it came to Open 1, because you don't get free chances this time. You only get the 2. Once you go to that lowers, you have to be fully mentally prepared. You should have used this match to warm up as best you can so that you can go on that lower bracket run. Of course, it's not impossible that we win here in this Oppers. Like they always say, there's a reason Rocket League isn't played on paper, it's played on the pitch. It's because these upsets can happen. They have happened, and when there's a will, there's a way, and Overlooked will certainly be playing with that mindset in this matchup. This isn't one to give up, this isn't one to slow down, this isn't one to cater out, otherwise we would have forfeited before the match even begun. This is trying to get yourself to the best shape possible, so win or lose, at the end of the day, you guarantee yourself a spot on the, Rhino, I'm proud to say, the APAC mainstream tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. The APAC mainstream returns. Thank goodness for that. That's a podcast that we can do at some point in the future. Goodness gracious me, with everything going on there. But no, myself, Gex, and Boyo will be back to bring you all of the action from the region tomorrow. And we couldn't be more happy. This region deserves an English mainstream. They deserve the word of APAC to be spread around the entire world, and not just the APAC mainstream being back, but being back on Rocket League APAC is a huge thing. And yeah, I can't wait. I'm rubbing my hands together as well, Pegasus. I'm ready to go.
This region deserves so much love. I've really fallen in love with APAC in the past year. I had the opportunity to cast in RLCS 2024, of course, for Luminosity, which did feature 2 out of 3 players that we are coming up against, which just goes to show you this is going to be a tough matchup. I've got experience with these players. So, ladies and gentlemen, when it does get to that point, when we do reach kickoff, I hope you are prepared, because you are going to see the best Rocket League has to offer, and also Project Dela Cruz. So the wait is finally over. Game 1 of the GSL Daybreak Frontline. Join an organization and look to impress the wider crowd. And well, what a way to do it. The number 1 seed, the number 1 game. Let's get started.
Here we go then. Game 1 of the day. GSL kicking things off. A spot in top 8 on the line. Win 2 matches, you're through. Lose 2 matches, and you are going home. And it's a tough test to start the day for Overlooked against the number 1 seed, the number 1 team here in APAC. But as Pegasus said in the introduction, stranger things have happened.
Absolutely, and we've got to give some respect to the players on Overlooked. There was a lot of storyline there for Project Dela Cruz, but I'm sure that we here on the Overlooked stream are very familiar with our boys. Lunatic definitely going to be that player to look out for, a mechanical menace, and was able to show that the last Open. Just go over and check the Overlooked Entertainment Twitter, and you'll see a repost from my very own Twitter where I had so many clips to choose from this play individually just in those few hours of the Swiss stage. Avix as well was incredibly impressive throughout the day, and Taha saw a lot of improvements as that day started to go on. Once he does start to warm up and these 3 players do start to link themselves together, they do look like a formidable side, deserved of that top 4 seed. Here's the mechanics I was talking about from Lunatic to take it off that sidewall. For now, J-Box bells away here for Taha. It's goalless in this first minute. Both teams just looking to heat themselves up into the main events.
Yeah, for sure. That ball out to the midfield will be picked up by Taha, just popping it up, but none of his teammates really ready for that. And this is something that you'll see Project Dela Cruz do a lot, is find those team plays. Their passing is the best in the region, their knowledge of where each other is. And here comes Catalysm, looking for the pass middle to Sphinx. J-Box gets up really well to challenge. And just over a minute played, still 0-0, and that actually looks pretty good on the scoreline for Overlooked.
Absolutely, this is what you'd like to maintain as much as possible. I've said it before, a low-scoring game always is going to favour that team that is coming in necessarily as that underdog. You just want to be able to sneak one past the line and not give any pace to your opponent. Sphinx though is finding some. There's a player inside. It's Kevin. A shot on target, saved there by J-Box. Such a defensive presence for Overlooked, and it doesn't matter the opponents. Always manages to keep his confidence, ignores the name tags above the cards, keeps it simple, keeps it very calculated when he's in those spots. I don't see him jump too early too often. Ball off that sidewall. Kevin is able to hold it tight towards that corner, but still has a lot of extra work to do. The player far post isn't really in a position to score immediately. Catalysm has to take it inside. Taha, let's get that initial block. It's a wonderful B plan there from Catalysm. 2 players stepped up pretty high forward as well to try and stop him. Lunatic, though, is available in net. J-Box is at that far post, but no one is able to find an angle. So it is an opener for the German. Dela Cruz take the lead.
Yeah, this is just really good positioning from Catalysm, spotting the danger, knowing that Overlooked were a little bit turned around, facing the ball rather than facing where they needed to be, so he would have the benefit at that back post. It's exactly what he gets. It's above everybody else, and just about half the game played. Only 1 goal to speak of so far, and that is from the Project Dela Cruz Persuasion, but Overlooked hanging in there with the APAC #1 seed, and that is going to give a lot of people a lot of hope in this chat. And something else you have to bear in mind is obviously Catalysm and Sphinx will take a lot of the headlines in this roster, given the work that they were able to do in APAC 2025. Oh, that's a miss on the backboard off the post. Catalysm goes by, but a pass middle. Oh my goodness, Kevin somehow doesn't quite get there either. But Kevin is a storied veteran of the APAC region in his own right, has open championships to his name as well. So it is a team of winners on Project Dela Cruz. Overlooked looking to prove that they belong here with them.
Absolutely, and I actually do have a lot of experience with Kevin. I covered Dream Station in Split 2 of RLCS 2024. Moments like that, I'll be completely honest with you, Rhino, where he will sneak in a cheeky own goal or he'll miss a completely open net like he did before. But you cannot drop the ball when you're against him, because then he'll start becoming unstoppable. He's really tricky. He's a mechanical player. And even when he had LCT as a teammate, he was able to stand up himself. So as this game goes on, I expect him to warm up into the day. And that's why Overlooked need to make sure that they get their foot in the door early. Otherwise, Dela Cruz are just going to shut that slam in their face.
Yeah, for sure. 50 seconds left. J-Box down the right-hand side. Good 50. Now looking just for the pass back to Taha, and that's actually really good awareness from J-Box. Sphinx collects. Reset. Here he comes, the youngster, to Kevin. But a loose touch from Kevin gives J-Box the opportunity. 30 seconds to go. J-Box at the angle. Kevin gets across the block.
And it's been somewhat of a subdued opener from both sides. Overlooked, but the majority have been in their own third, but Dela Cruz actually haven't had many opportunities to find the back of the net. That being said, this looks like one being prepared here by Sphinx. Catalysm was up early. Taha looks to try and call Lunatic off. Instead, this actually ends up falling to J-Box. Double whiff though. Does leave an opportunity here to just build out from the back, try and grab that equalizer, but Sphinx has wasted all the time, and that floor is lava. It's all they have to reach, but he's looking for a little bit extra. The statistics would look way too empty over here in APAC if Sphinx didn't make sure he was involved.
Yeah, Sphinx opening his account for GSL Friday. By the way, water is also wet as we start to progress forwards. Project Dela Cruz take game #1, but we were almost building a storyline here on the desk before the game started about just how good Project Dela Cruz are and how this region is kind of theirs for the taking. Overlooked were not a million miles away. It might not have been the best Project Dela Cruz performance you'll see, but you still have to beat what's in front of you. You still have to play against the team that you're against. And Overlooked, I actually think, did that really well. They were able to stop a lot of what Project Dela Cruz wanted to do. The early challenges, I thought, were really well thought out. They weren't low percentage challenges. They were oftentimes high percentage 50s, which against a team like Project Dela Cruz, the more of those you take, the better you're going to be at stopping them. So impressed by Overlooked in game #1, even with a 2-0 deficit.
It was so foundational, like you mentioned, but they will still need to push that extra distance if they do want to score a goal against this team, because it does feel like they're all offense just because of the amount of time that they have possession, and they'll really press you in your third, and you're going to struggle to escape, you're going to struggle to get shots off, so you don't get to witness actually how strong defensively Catalysm, Kevin, and Sphinx are. Sphinx is unbelievable in a 1v1 position. I mean, he is a 1v1 player as well, playing very often in those 1v1 opens when, of course, Psyonix does arrange him, and he's found a lot of success in those regards as well. So definitely going to be a player you'll want off the pitch if those opportunities do crop up. But instead, it's going to be a pass here to Kevin. Looking for that 1-2. Sphinx was up early, but this could be a bit of an overcommit from the Dela Cruz side. Lunatic is able to get some scores of the doors. And after a low scoring game 1, this truly is a moment to believe.
And it's those early challenges we talked about just after game number 1 that Overlooks benefit from. You can't play scared against a team like Project Dela Cruz because they will pick you apart. You got to play aggressive, but you've got to play disciplined as well. It's a fine balance to get, and Lunatic finds the balance there perfectly, making sure that there's players behind him in case the 50 goes wrong, but still able to challenge early. That was very dangerous. Project Dela Cruz playing with a bit between their teeth now, as they don't often go behind in games in this region. So they're going to look to try and rectify the scoreline as soon as possible. But more challenges like that from Overlooks, that's going to prove very difficult for them.
Absolutely, Taha looking to try and cause some difficulties for Project Dela Cruz. Those bumps are coming out. It's certainly passing the marks. Lunatic gets that initial fake, but Sphinx remains composed on that second touch, keeps it close. Progresses that ball towards the halfway line, but Taha going to defend that line as if it was on his goal as well. Lunatic gets demoed off, and now Sphinx can make that final advancement into this final third, and this is where you start to feel the vice tighten. It's so tough to escape when they get themselves that far, but my goodness, how well are Overlooks doing in this second game? But the overcommit comes through. Lunatic is not back in time, and one quick pass from the duo in APAC, and it is back to an equal game.
Yeah, I have to say, you mentioned Lunatic didn't get back in time. I think it's actually a misplay from Taha on the sidewall. I don't think he's got any right to go and challenge that at all. And gets found out. Sphinx over the top, looking for a double. Finds Kevin. Good save, Lunatic. Pushing it away over to the far side. Catalysm trying now to just ramp up the pressure, ramp up the tempo. Our Project Dela Cruz. And Overlooked struggling to deal with it at the moment. Still 3 minutes to go. Needs to try and get some possession, but against Project Dela Cruz, that's a very difficult thing to do.
Absolutely, ball off the wall. Taha looking to try and force his way through this difficulty, but brute force is going to be the answer to solve this puzzle. Sphinx gets a reset off that backboard, and it's an interesting setup. Overlooks were kept guessing. The only other player on the pitch who had any idea where this was going to land was, of course, Catalysm, who arguably, Rhino, was the best player in APAC in RLCS 2025, and definitely has potential for that to be the case yet again in 26.
Yeah, I mean, this lad might have something to say about that. As ball gets played high, Lunatic just maybe expecting Sphinx to knock that forwards a little bit, trying to play the percentages again, but Sphinx smart enough just to get the reset and then Diplo. A bit of a fake from the young Malaysian, as it will be Taha, and doesn't get really enough there. J-Box, where are you off to? Trusting Lunatic, and on this occasion it has paid off for him. The ball cleared to midfield. Taha down the left side, gets a reset out of the corner. Project Dela Cruz, they take over, try and get away with the passing play, but J-Box is right there on the scene. Lunatic out of the corner, missed by Kata. Opportunity knocks here for Overlooks, but Taha just takes too long with that shot, and Dela Cruz clear.
A goal a minute required for Overlooked, and that's assuming that they do not concede again against this offensive powerhouse. Dela Cruz on look to try and make that happen. Kevin, that's going to be a beautiful self-setup. Now he has options, goes for the fake, plays it low, could have gone high instead, find the ball in time, but that bump instead ends up being the more intelligent decision. Lunatic, though, reads through that first block. It's low boost all round. Project Dela Cruz have squeezed out all the resources available. It's a tough angle for Sphinx to try and snipe, and even the greats have their limits.
Yeah, they do, but Sphinx will try and tell you that he is limitless. Kevin trying to find the corner. Taha makes a big save. Sinks out of the corner. Dealt with by Lunatic. J-Box has gone ahead here. He's got enough boost, just can't catch up to the ball. Kevin gets there first. Good angle to find, and I think Taha might have just saved that from Lunatic. It might have just been sneaking into the top corner, or at least would have caused some issues for the Dela Cruz backline. But that's lovely play from Kata to escape out of the back, and Sphinx, oh no. He won't miss many of those this weekend. He's trying to get rid of them all on Friday so he doesn't have to on the weekend, but he'll want that one back for sure.
Hey, there's no guarantee that Project Dela Cruz make the weekend. They could lose to Overlooked and then lose in the lower bracket. We've got to keep those opportunities up. Of course, that's not going to happen, Rhino. They are going to make the weekend. But whether that happens with an Overlooked victory or not is still to be decided. 30 seconds. It's not going to come from this game. It is going to be a reverse sweep requirement. But it hasn't been a terrible performance from Project Dela Cruz. If you put it into context here, that this is as hard as it gets. There is no stronger team in APAC. This team is APAC. You can have arguments, of course, about Kinotrope if you really want to, but the history, RLCS 2025, and of course the first Open of this season has told us that our opponents, as it stands, the ones that have been held so close within 1 and 2 goal games, are going to be a potential victory here. But my gosh, I mean, I have been silenced. This is insane. A 3-man free jump passing play. Only one team in the world does that in main event, Rhino, and we just watched it.
Why is Lunatic even jumping for it? That's what I want to know. The ball is dropping down onto the floor. There's no goal there until Lunatic decides to backwards flip towards the ball, which keeps the ball in the air and fires it into his own net. That is one of the most own goals I've ever seen in my life. But nonetheless, the game was over before that moment, so it doesn't particularly affect us all that much. And I mean, that was silly control on the backboard from Sphinx, and then to follow that through with this lovely heads-up play to beat out Lunatic. And then, you know what, we will watch it again, and I will complain again as this one drops down. You can see it right there. Lunatic, just let it drop, bro. Just let it go. Don't let them clip farm. Don't let them aura farm, because they will if you give them the chance.
And they've got Melakeem as a team stream right now, so you absolutely know they're clip farming right now. Gosh, I hate that child. I hate that child so much, and he's going to be feeling really happy right now, and I want to wipe that smug smile off his face that I know he has right now in this third game. Overlook, we got to take him down. Just a reminder to people in chat, we are good friends with Melakeem, but not today.
No. Well, I think for the rest of the day, I think we'll be fine. It's just for these kind of 30 minutes that we've got a specific problem with him. Kata won't get much done there. We'll be able to bounce touch that middle. Taha, though, brings it away. No boost to follow through, so leaves it over to the Japanese pair. The Lunatic also struggling, and this is where Project Dela Cruz just make you second guess every single movement that you make. It's 2-0 to them right now. You don't want to make any mistakes. You don't want to cause yourself problems, so every single time that you go for the ball, you're almost wondering if there is a Dela Cruz player there. And that's just a wonderful pass inside to Kata, who dispatches perfectly. 3-man passing play. Kevin to Sphinx. Sphinx to Kata. Goal, Project Dela Cruz.
That was unbelievable, especially when you consider the Overlooked players all had resources in the tank. It was all very close to about 70 boost plus for all 3 of them, but a positional excellence and the speed that they moved the ball was impossible for Overlook to keep up. As soon as, I believe it was J-Box, played that heavy touch forward, Overlooked essentially had that ball in the back of the net. Their consistency, the way that they are able to string those passes between each other telekinetically, makes them such a formidable side. Here's a lovely pass from Catalysm. Sphinx has actually bailed away. But Kevin, my goodness, does he love that woodwork. As does Sphinx. Catalysm gets another chance. All 3 players complete the woodwork challenge. And it's still somehow within 1.
Yeah, I mean, Dela Cruz are playing free play right now. They're just having fun with it, and why not? It is a A joy to watch. Not probably for the Overlooked players right now, although going down the other end, good save by Kata, but pressure applied by Overlooked for the first time in a little while. Hit away by Kevin and J-Box. You gotta read that on the sidewall if you want anything to do with Project Delacruz and make them worry. Lunatic backboard, sending it away. Kevin's right there on the scene, but Sphinx is nowhere to be found. He will be there now, though. Oh my goodness, Catalysm. I've seen that pre-jump on the other side of the field and got very, very scared if Sphinx was able to control the ball. He wasn't. So, Overlooked. Surviving another attack. Maybe not for long. Back post. Not going to happen. Kevin off the left side. Off the backboard. Pass back to Kata. Goes over as well. Is that just going to drop? Oh my goodness. J-Box! Please! Oh my goodness, that was insane. How on earth has J-Box saved that one? He's made amends. He's done it.
I mean, if all three Project Delacruz players are going to hit the crossbar, I guess we might as well get in on the fun as well. The fun is now over. Sphinx has popped all the party balloons. He's thrown the cake in the bin. No party here on the Overlook stream. We're 2 goals down, with no real opportunities coming out of this game either. But this is what Project Delacruz do. Lunatic can pick one back here from this kickoff. That's a bit of momentum. Take it one play at a time. And speaking of that time, it is 2 minutes and 17 seconds. And that doesn't feel like it's a short space of time when you only need 1 goal for OT, but 1 goal against Project Delacruz, Rhino. Now that is a different course.
Yeah, and it will be one that gives Overlooked momentum, gives them belief going further in this GSL bracket, and whether they win or lose this series, they will be going further in the bracket. And that's a nice pass actually out to the side. Sphinx does get there first and then takes out Lunatic for daring to do a passing play while against Project Delacruz. Everyone's getting demoed around here. Lunatic off on the right side. In now for the pass. Nice touch to J-Box, but Kevin reads it well. Has Catalysm. Has he sniped the far post? No, he hasn't. As now it will be Kevin once again trying to pressurize the Overlooked back line. Drops down. That's Sphinx at his best. Pass off the backboard. Sphinx finds the bottom right corner. Still a minute and a half to go, but Project Delacruz flexing their muscles.
And you wouldn't have expected it a few years back, Rhino, that a German and a Malaysian would be one of the most feared duos in the RLCS. And that's not just talking about their own region. It was so impressive under Virtus Pro when they went to Worlds. They made it to the actual main event. They had a crowd in front of them and made Asia Pacific history. And that's why, to those in chat that may not have watched much APAC RLCS, just understand that this team and these 3 players are simply on another level. And this is not going to be outside the expectations of the Overlooked players heading into this game. And all things considered, this is the hardest I have ever seen a team fight against Catalysm and Sphinx. J-Box getting another one back.
Yeah, the kickoff goal's coming through for Overlooked right now, which is quite nice to see, but Project Delacruz, they're just making it so difficult. I mean, the demo on the backline, that's really good team play off the back of that kickoff. Overlooked starting just to maybe warm themselves up, and we discussed before the series even started that if you see this game as a little bit of a warm-up, if you see it as a way to get up to speed, then you might be able to kind of use that momentum that you gain later in the bracket, and that's exactly what Overlooked are going to be looking to do. So I don't mind what I'm seeing from the Overlooked team so far. That's a nice pass from Kevin. Oh my goodness gracious, that deserved more. That really would have been all over Mel's socials later today if that one had gone through. Didn't though. Kata with the catch, playing the 50 off the left. Is there anyone middle? No. Lunatic will collect, and listen, a 4-2 scoreline against Project Delacruz is very, very respectable indeed for this Overlooked roster.
Absolutely, really formidable. They kept that first game within 1 goal. The second one was essentially within 2. Of course, Lunatic had other ideas. It's a wonderful save coming from Taha. No pre-jump play this time with seconds left on the clock, but that ball is high, and that does give the opportunity. Sphinx is coming off that ceiling, but Kevin has just sniped the target. Not as impressive as the goal they got before. I loved the cheeky 4-man passing play that they were able to pull off, but that will be all she wrote for the upper bracket. We will be moving to the lowers, ladies and gentlemen, against Project Dela Cruz. Like we said, this was not going to be outside of anyone's expectations, but the run, of course, to that hybrid bracket spot is certainly realistic.
13 shots to 3. Yeah, that pretty much tells you where Project Dela Cruz sits on the food chain. Here in APAC, they are right at the top. The alpha, if you like, as Overlooked, unfortunately, just not able to really test their opposition all that much. However, there were moments, there were glimpses, there were flashes, and some of the plays that J-Box, Lunatic and Taha were making together did look very impressive, and they would be able to get past a worse team. The fact of the matter is, you're just going against the best of the best, and sometimes your best in that moment isn't good enough.
And it's about to get much easier from here on out. Not easy, but much easier. There is not a team like Project Dela Cruz. We cannot play Kinotrope. They are in that other group. We are going to be playing either Goblin Barrel or Big Dogs in the lower bracket quarterfinals. Hopefully we can pick ourselves up a series win there, because it will be victory or bust. Only 1 life remaining. A perfect 2 series required from the Overlooked roster. Will they be able to recover from the whiplash of playing by far the best team in APAC? Or will they falter and crash and burn all the way out in the top 16 spot? Stick around, ladies and gentlemen, because we will find out after the break.
For the best, 'cause I know where I'm at every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't see to
Well, as far as first series go, it doesn't get much tougher than Project De La Cruz. Overlooked now finding themselves in the lower brackets, have to win 2 series in a row if they want to reach GSL, so it's going to be quite the journey. Let's wait. Absolutely no time. Looking at this upcoming matchup, it's Overlooked versus Goblin Barrel. They join us in the lower brackets after a 3-1 defeat to Big Dogs. Of course, a roster that this Overlooked org does have somewhat of a relationship with back in the day, but for now, it's all eyes on J-Box, Lunatic and Taha versus Hirio, Rapupi and Tank.
Yeah, it's a really interesting roster, Goblin Barrel, and they had a really good Swiss stage, to be fair to them, going 3-1. The only loss that they took was to Godspeed, who look like a very, very solid roster so far in this event, in Open 2. They are through into the upper bracket semi-finals to play the winner of Sailing Esports and Konoko Soup. So that all kind of looks about right. The difference is Goblin Barrel, they lost to Big Dogs, who also went 3-1 and pushed Sailing Esports really close in a 5-game series in Swiss. But to be fair, on paper, I thought Hirio, Rapupi and Tank were going to be able to put up a little bit of a better fight against the Indian roster. So to see them here in the lower bracket quarterfinal is actually a bit of a surprise to me.
Absolutely, and that's that double-edged sword now, right, where you've got that one side where you feel like you may have potentially gotten the tougher matchup heading into this bracket, but as well, Goblin Barrel have gone down here deservedly. They have faced some kind of defeats. They're not at their very best, and Overlooked have that opportunity now to take advantage of that. Kick them while they're down. You've got to be ruthless in these competitive environments. It's RLCS, it's limited spots. You only get 6 opens now. You don't get the 9 you used to back in the day, so every single one has to count. And the top 16 finish is outside the realms of expectation for Overlooked, especially after their placement of the last Open.
Yeah, I might be the oldest person on the desk, but you're the one who's bringing up the past and talking like an unk. So I don't know what we're doing here at this particular moment. The past is the past, Pegasus. Forget about it. We're not in a 9 open format anymore. We're here right now. 6 chances for greatness, and Overlooked are going to try and take one of those as we play against Goblin Barrel. Maybe the loss against Big Dogs is a signal that they're not at their full strength, and if that is the case, then Overlooked really needs to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that we do get that speed back from the 3 players on the roster. We've seen them go for a few of those passing plays, but it's definitely going to be an easier nut to crack than Project De La Cruz if they can continue with that same layer of success. I wasn't actually particularly unimpressed by their defense, I would say, in that last series. They held it down pretty well, considering how much pressure they ended up having against them. But it's different. We speak about, I mean, you follow football quite a lot yourself, Ryan, and you know the difference between a goalkeeper that has to make 3 saves a game and it has to be perfect, and, you know, a lower in the table goalkeeper who has to be consistent and maybe save 7 or 8 in that respective matchup. This is going to be one of those ones where consistency is required. Perfection for 2 series in a row. It is elimination or advancement between these 2 sides. It's Overlooked versus a team that is going to be a clash of royal proportions. Let's get this lower bracket started.
2 match wins required for Overlooked to get through into the main stream tomorrow. Of course, nothing has changed since the start of the day, but the difference is they don't have any lives left. Let's get 5 minutes underway and see if Overlooked are going to be able to take down the hotly tipped, it's fair to say, a lot of people in the region like this team, Goblin Barrel.
It's a shame. I'm a big fan of them as well, but of course, only one may survive out of this spot. This isn't the Swiss stage anymore. I mentioned earlier that when Overlooked did previously lose to Project De La Cruz, it was in the lower bracket. The time before that, it was in the 2-0 stage of Swiss, and they did end up losing that series straight afterwards. They were not able to recover themselves. And they do not have that same privilege in this occasion of the GSL. But J-Box, quick out the gates here, gets this ball inside to Taha. Lunatic as well was a part of that attack. This time he'll be the leading charge. Has 40 boosts, is beaten on that first occasion. And it is a wonderful aggressive start. Nothing too overcommittal from either side. It's a perfect balance of that aggression while still holding it safe, not trying to go for anything too silly too early. If they need to complicate the play a little bit later, they won't take that risk in these first minute and a half. And that's a wonderful drop-down play. Lunatic is positioned perfectly, and all he has to do is walk that one home.
Yeah, this is more like the Overlooks we enjoyed seeing in Swiss. It didn't come out in every match, that's for sure. But when they are able to be on the front foot, to take that space and really aggress towards their opponent's net and just keep putting shots on goal, while also staying disciplined enough to remember that defense exists and is a thing that they need to remember, that's unlucky from Taha. Then
that really is.
That's Overlooked at their best, and really impressed with what I saw so far in this first minute and a half. Hopefully they can push forwards now. Lunatic doesn't have enough boost to work with that, but should get the boost steal and does. Now looking for the pass back. J-Box just behind the play, so Taha to clean up, and he sends it long. Nice work.
No aspects of the play so far being an afterthought for Overlooked. They look extremely organised as it stands. Taha does stay somewhat close to the play, but knows the time to bail. Gets his 100 boost, and Hirio hits that heavy off that waterfall. Takes that shot straight on, but centre of the net. Not going to cause any troubles here for J-Box, so it's going to be all Taha in the corner. Tank has a tough recovery, so instead it's called off by Hirio. And that looked like a hoodwinked defense of Overlooked. They didn't know which play to look out for. Lunatic had also jumped a little bit early, and he didn't have time to ground himself and then jump yet again to reach those top corners. And that's how the game can really change, Rhino. Just a press of your X button and all of a sudden back of your net is just guaranteed.
Wait, people aren't using keyboard and mouse and spacebar isn't the key? Are you sure?
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
It's interesting.
Some of them, Rhino. Some of them.
Some of them.
There are a few good keyboard players. You still have a chance.
All right. So, catch me in 2027 RLCS. Let's go. Lunatic off that left side. No, it's J-Box trying to take over, and these touches are just a little bit loose from Overlooks right now. They're not able to keep possession, inviting Goblin Barrel into the play, which I don't particularly enjoy watching from Overlooked, as they have the ability, they have the firepower to keep possession of the ball and drive downfield rather than play kind of a little bit of boom ball-y. But for the moment, still 1-1. No panic stations just yet. 1 minute 50 to go. Taha looking for the pass downfield, just doesn't get enough of it. Will get a second bite of the cherry. But it's sent away by Goblin Barrel and cleared quite far. J-Box now off the ceiling, reset, looking to go the distance. Nice save, but it's only as far as Lunatic. And I was talking about loose touches. That is one that cost them a goal from Goblin Barrel.
But it was a wonderful advancement there by J-Box. It forced out a response by those players on the back wall, and that's not an easy ball to control. It was a testing little strike towards the defense of Goblin Barrel, one that they simply were not able to pass. Tank outside of his own corner. Rapupi's an option on that far side no longer. Now that J-Box is able to land that demo, another ball taps forward. J-Box is available yet again, but that's a high ball. There's going to be two players challenging early. It should have only been one. A 100 boost Hirio stands in the way. Now looks to turn over defense to offense. Constantly flip-flopping between these two sides. This is what you'd call end-to-end. It's what you'd call perfect for the neutrals. But here over at Overlooked, we're just looking to try and take some charge. Hirio instead runs the initiative, gets this ball towards that back wall. Lunatic is just forced to make that 50 off, but it's nothing palpable, nothing that will be maintained. It's not going to be a sweeping play. Instead, it's going to be a rally the troops back in defense, because off that back, but a player is lurking. But Lunatic was prepared.
Yeah, good demo downfield, but once again, nothing really off the back of it. Hirio with intercepts. J-Box, good 50 played, good second 50 as well. But the spacing to that second man just isn't really enough. Or should I say it's too much, as needed someone there to follow up with that play. Lunatic once again playing a 50. Ball onto the backboard. Taha misreads it. For the first time today either, Taha just not confident on those backboard reads. It's the ball into the middle. Rapupi drops it away, but that's a loose touch. And Overlook take game number 1, locked in, guaranteed.
First game of the day, and this is one you've got to build off of now. You do not let that quality drop. They stayed rather consistent throughout these 5 minutes. It got a little bit tighter towards the end, but a lot of that felt like it was an improvement on the side of Goblin Barrel. They've both started and ended this game rather poorly. But if they play like they did in the middle game, then this certainly could be one to go either way. But they will be able to collect their second goal of the series. Unfortunately, you'd only celebrate it if you were colourblind.
What are we doing here, boys? What are we doing here? But either way, Overlook take the victory, take the win. And that's important. That's important. Get your feet under you. Just start feeling your way into the day, of course. Really difficult first series, but one that you didn't play badly in. So Overlook took a lot of the learnings that they got from that first series and put them to use in this series number 2. And this game number 1 of that is testament to how well Overlooked are feeling, how good they're looking at the moment. And Goblin Barrel, unlike Project Delacruz, are going to give them a lot of opportunities to take advantage. They're going to give them a lot of mistakes that Overlook can take advantage of. And in that game 1, Overlooks did just that. They took advantage of the mistake.
Well, we've got royalty in chat now, and the king is impressed. Cookin has congratulated Overlooks for that first game. We've got to keep it up. We've got to maintain that. We've got to make sure he remains proud by the end of this series. Because the best of 5, it does feel short, especially when you're spectating, but as a player, that goes so fast, and all of a sudden, a perfect scenario can flip at a simple flick of a switch. And with our opponents, like we've said, the quality that those 3 players can have and can bring out at any moment could still catch Overlooked off guard if they don't remain savvy to it. But of course, we do have the wonderful Nunki in the background working with the roster as their coach. I'm hoping that his impact will be felt in this second game, as it did in the first.
Yeah, certainly. And we will see if Overlooked are able to extend, flex those muscles a little bit, or if Goblin Barrel have a little bit more for us than maybe they were willing to show in game number 1. There's no one wants that ball at all, just being very British of no you, no you. It's J-Box trying to follow through, not quite going to happen. Intercepted by Poopy. Very quiet game 1 from Rapupi, it has to be said. Going to be looking to improve that here in game 2. Tank, not quite finding that pass. Areo has to try and take a different approach. The approach was to find a pass inside. J-Box cuts it off, finds a pass downfield, gone ahead, has Saha off the backboard. It's a swift counter! And Overlooked, well, they were on their own side of the halfway line just a second ago, and they convert down the other end. 1-0 Overlooked.
Not a lick of boost in that entire attack. That is pure efficiency from all 3 players. Incredible. But on the kickoff, all that work almost reduced to naught immediately. Taha again not getting that read off the side wall. Hirio is going to sneak that one under. It's an intelligent solo play blocked again by Lunatic, who wasn't a player we were singing particularly for his defensive performances during the switch stage, because his offense really took charge. But today, between the sticks, he has been close to unbeatable. Tank holds down this 50 against J-Box. Hirio was a perfect follow-up player in that chance. But Taha keeps it in safety at that corner. That back wall down is just going to drop again to an Overlooked car. J-Box is going to be able to get that initial flick forward. Stays close for Poopy, though. Forces this ball out high. Taha's not going to get any second touches off that wall. Has to wait for Lunatic to start to initiate that high press, defend with this offensive pressure. Instead of dropping back into their own third, that would allow them to have a further opportunity. Unfortunately, that wasn't able to come to fruition, but they still had that double padlock, and the second lock is going to be strong enough to shut the door. Goblin Barrel are not allowed in. Lunatic's bump will continue to disrupt. We get closer now to approaching that halfway point. Overlook still looking for another.
Yeah, they are trying to drive forwards down that left side, but been impressed a little bit with Goblin Barrel at the moment with the way that they're attacking, and again that spacing down the sidewall. It's looking really good from their perspective. Not good enough at the moment to break past the Overlook defense though, as Lunatic trying to make Goblin Barrel second guess themselves and question exactly what's going on. Wasn't able to break past the first player. Taha sends it away, but only as far. Oh my goodness, his tank. And Overlooked lucky to escape with their sheet still clean. Clearance away from Hireo. Lunatic puts it up onto the sidewall. J-Box has to recover, and it's a heavy touch, and these heavy touches have been costing both teams so far in this series. Hireo, goal scorer in the first game for Goblin Barrel. So close to scoring in the second as well. Overlooked hanging by a thread.
This has been a series so far about resourcefulness. It's been about that control as well. Like you said, the heavy touch is really making all the difference. All the lack thereof. Hireo just about gets there in time, and now it's going to be Taha facing in its own net, having to wrap around that ball instead. Lunatic at a much cleaner position, beats two men by himself, but score settled by Rapupi's demo against J-Bogs. But Lunatic approaching 100 boost and a sidewall. That's always going to be intimidating for an opponent. Instead, we'll just bang that one over, put some power behind it, force Goblin Barrel to commit some of their own resources if they look to escape. They have done, but it's not going to be with any shot as a reward. And a shot is the least of Goblin Barrel's concerns. They need to make sure that that reaches the back of the net. A 60-second call is made. It's going to be a long 60 seconds for us here on the Overlook stream, but I can guarantee this is going to go quick as a flash for Goblin Barrel. It's panic stations time. They've got to throw the kitchen sink. Overlook must catch it and throw it back at them.
And I'm really sorry to bring this up. Actually, I'll do it in a moment. J-Box marauding forwards. Off the backboard, Taha takes a shot. Lunatic there on the follow-up. That will waterfall a little bit. Reset. Lunatic, beautiful work! That is the mad scientist of APAC. Lunatic over the top. Lovely read off the backboard. Triple touch, dunking that one down. And if Overlooks looks like they might throw this game 2 away, they don't anymore. 2-0.
And it's about time. I said that when Lunatic gets boost, any team in APAC must be afraid. How dare you leave a backboard open? It's complete and utter disrespect of a player of that caliber. And Lunatic has made sure that they will never give him that space again. Second game is given. And it is now match points to achieve a spot in the lower finals for qualification. Goblin Barrel have been strong, but Overlooked have been much stronger.
Yeah, certainly, and it's moments of class that can decide some of these games where the teams feel relatively even. And at the moment, it is Overlooked who just have that little bit of extra in the tank from Lunatic and J-Box respectively. But Taha has got 2 assists there for both of those goals. And so going forwards, it is very much a team effort. It is very much Overlooked as a unit moving forwards towards the Goblin Barrel net. This is a really nice redirect from Taha, playing it over the top for J-Box. And then this from Lunatic. Oh, that one will be replayed and replayed, Pegasus, and I imagine that you're already preparing the tweet for next week.
Absolutely. Finger licking good. That one is definitely going to be posted, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be everywhere. Everyone has to know that this is what this team is about. This is what Lunatic does. I don't think he gets enough respect right now, and I've been thinking that for quite a while now, especially in 2025. Of course, he had those mixed results, but guys, you got to watch the games. You've got to be in the streams. That's why it's so important that's there are broadcasts. So just a quick shout out to 1NE and of course Kokken, because those will be the mainstream broadcasts on the weekend. Overlooked look to make an appearance. They're off to a wonderful start.
Yeah, 3 opportunities now to go through in this bracket, and Goblin Barrel, well, they've got to be perfect for the rest of this series. Taha, left side. Looking now. Okay. Immediately concerning. Looked a little bit rushed, that pass back from Taha. Didn't really appreciate where his teammates were. So over that far side, Tank trying to bring it away. J-Box goes up into the air, looking now out of the corner. Lunatic, big pinch. A little bit too big. And Goblin Barrel can take possession.
Yes, they can. Taha starting off from his own backboard. Hero jumped so early for that one. Committed all the boost he had to do it. That requires a second player to take charge of Rapupi. Down to Tank. 3-man play is pulled off. This is an incredible attack from Goblin Barrel. You've got to give credit where it's due, but it's Taha that loses possession there in the corner. And that profile pick from Tank is incredible. The inside pass does come in. And that is a very, very tough one to break. And it is deceivingly difficult as well. The preparation has to be there. He was already in that spot. The anticipation from that second man is the toughest part of that job when you are playing freeze. Because it's so chaotic. There's so many moving parts. Yet when that ball comes, the defenses are typically very locked down. So you have such a small window of opportunity. Yet Goblin Barrel have unfortunately found it. And it was somewhat of a larger open window than we would have liked. That double tap doesn't land. And now J-Box is going to be hunting for that equalizer off the back wall. Lunatic wanted to rifle that one to the top corner. Rapupi didn't let it get that far. Tank's got an excellent catch. The bump is going to be attempted. But it's a wonderful cut in rotation yet again from Lunatic. Now it's our turn for a 3-man pass and play. That's heavy.
Yeah, J-Box, that's just going to give possession away. And you really don't want to do that when you're 1-0 down. But the counter could be there. J-Box, another heavy touch. Taha off the backboard. Lunatic, not a lot of boost to work with. Just wanting to keep the ball in Goblin Barrel territory. That's exactly what he does. Hireo sends it away. But there's a bit of a snipe from the heavens. J-Box following through. Lunatic. That shot looks like it was actually just dropping in on the bottom corner. Tank had to clear it away. But J-Box with the perfect read, making sure that ball finds its way into the bottom left corner and overlooks level 1-1.
That was a confident force through. I love when they rotate their car like that and they use the empty jump just to shotgun that ball forward. You see it all the time in ones. You don't see it that much in 2s and 3s. But 1 goal down, you need a hero. You need to just force something in the back of the net. And that is the perfect opportunity to do it. Taha does get a booming ball. It's 100 boost for Tank, but he does go for the bang instead. Had opportunity to go for the solo play. Perhaps not feeling that confidence, or his teammate should have also seen the sea of blue right behind him. The tidal wave came in, and now they're swept out in defense.
Here they are. Good block on the goal line. Taha tries to clear it away. Gets blocked to the first, but it might actually work in Overlook's favour unless they boom the ball clear, which is exactly what they do. Tank down the left side, has a pass inside, double commit from Overlooked, and things just starting to get a little bit messy in the midfield from both teams. Hireo goes towards the backboard, cleared away, and J-Box able to bring it through. Now taking to the sky, J-Box reset, crossbar, who's there to help? Nobody. J-Box, great breakaway. But then no one is there to finish the job, and now Lunatic just knocking it forwards. J-Box again, can't get there. Taha surely to finish the dinner. How does that go off the post? Overlooked. Really should be ahead in this game now. And will they regret those chances?
Went for that perfect top left corner strike. It just had to be enough. The defense was caught awry. They were low boost. They had been grinded down after a few attempts at nets. And as much as I do appreciate player trying to tuck it away as far as possible, you've got to know when it's the time for placement. And power, J-Box just had to place that one. No one was prepared in that instance, and I'm not sure he expected it, because that was a result of Goblin Barrel being out of position. You see often in these high-level games, they just expect the best play coming from their opponent. You've got to take those opportunities when they present themselves. Lunatic looking to create opportunities. Cutting in from the wing is Taha. No second touch. J-Box really needed to time that challenge perfectly. That was the last man back. Did keep it out of a touch of an opponent. Taha cuts in well. No one's going to be available to turn immediately. They've allowed Tank to pick up all that boost. The second man's there. J-Box wanted it off his back wall. It was actually on target. But with 10 seconds left to go, Overlooked are not looking for overtime. J-Box again bails away. Taha is behind this ball, wants it to Lunatic. He had 0 boost. J-Box had way more. Perhaps this was his moment to try and take some initiative. A hero is required. It may not happen in regulation, but we go to OT.
And this is what we often talk about OT, is the fact that it often favors the team that are leading the series, because there's less pressure. Goblin Barrel know that if they don't score the next goal, they will be leaving the GSL bracket. And that was a really nice touch from Lunatic. Unlucky that he didn't get the opportunity to double off the backboard. Taha, can you go up to get that? Yes, he can. Extra touch. Lunatic. Not the best touch from him. Hireo finds a pass. Rapupi. Oh my goodness. J-Box on the backboard. Lucky that Taha can bail him out, because that was a huge misstep from Overlooked. But overtime continues as we creep up to 60 seconds gone.
And the players continue to have their back, so that when those mistakes do inevitably happen, they're able to defend it. But this Lunatic musty pop-up can't go through. Blocked by that man. J-Box has no options on that opposing side. Taha's just going to go straight for that pinch. A low one was the correct option. There was going to be a block instead, but Tank goes on target. Lunatic goes for the squishy save to get that clearance. And this is now starting to get a little bit too close to call. Both teams have had wasted opportunities go either way. They've almost given away clear opportunities. This is a free backboard. And Tank burrows his way through, empties every shell available. And that is composed by Lemony Snicket. That's a series of unfortunate events.
We deserve that. We deserve that for that absolutely abysmal, atrocious, dreadful defending in that last kind of 10 to 15 second window. I'm not pulling any punches here. What are we doing on that goal line? Goodness gracious me. Goblin Barrel able to convert after, as you say, maybe it was a series of unfortunate events, but yeah, Overlook should be able to put this away in 3. Unfortunately, we will have to play an extra game at least. And it's Taha who just could have got something going there, wasn't able to. The squishy save from Lunatic was exceptional, but then after that, this is I mean, I don't even want to say what level that is, that because I feel like I would offend people, but that is not GSL, that is not top 16 APAC region level. That's poor.
And certainly not top 4, and that's currently where Overlooks do sit on the leaderboard. That's where they're looking to maintain themselves going forward. And heading into this next game, we do hope that that does not repeat itself. It was a strong first 2 games. Frankly, it was a strong half as well, Rhino, in that last match. But it just seemed to all fall apart a little bit later. They got a little bit sloppy. You spoke about Barossa not necessarily having the pressure in that game to get the job done, because they do have those 3 chances, but felt like a little bit of complacency definitely started to slip in, and that's really the danger when you are on match points. They always say that that 3rd game is the toughest. You've got to keep that concentration, and hopefully a leader on this team has stepped up, potentially the coach as well, before this 4th game to say, okay, let's think of this as 0-0, like when we began. We played with passion, we played with poise, and we played with a little bit of safety as well. Bring that back, and that will be enough to break through. And that was, I believe our word of the broadcast last Sunday was just being enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And Taha, well, that is enough. That's a major change of pace from the end of that previous game. Taha rising highest, dunking down. The Falcons goal explosion, which you can choose to agree with or not. It doesn't really make a difference because the goal is through. Overlook's lead 1-0 and almost thrown away once again off a kickoff, but Goblin Barrel can't convert, and we have some Rocket League to play. 4 minutes still to go. Taha looking for some more action. Lunatic won't be able to break through Hireo, but J-Box with a boost steal could lead to issues for Goblin Barrel's attack.
Oh, this is a tight offense from Goblin Barrel. I liked the way they had positioned themselves there, but at 50, fall down of their fortune. That's a double commit. A player definitely having an opportunity to find the target should they have not been interrupted by their own comrades. Taha does interrupt Lunatic in that position, but that was for the greater good. Touch from Lunatic was not going to be great. You want to bring that ball to safety. You don't want it to spill back out into the infield. That's when those follow-up disorganized chances can strike, and they are so hard to try and keep out of the net. J-Box, though, no struggles to find the back of the opposer's nets. One shot, one goal, one opportunity. A very high free players from Goblin Barrel, and really quick thinking and fluid communication between J-Box and Taha.
Yeah, too aggressive from Goblin Barrel. They looked like they were feeling the pressure. Looks like going 1-0 down. They knew they needed the next goal really to be able to stay in the series. Of course, this is APAC, so anything is possible. But that might just be the feeling that the players had. So they put a lot of resources forwards. Didn't have many resources in the back line when it got there. So Overlook take advantage of that. Find that play over the top. Now Hireo trying to come through. Good work from J-Box. Getting over the last man. No boost to steal though, which means the attack is kind of petering out until Lunatic gets a demo and Taha drives forwards out of the corner. Looking for support. J-Box provides. Hireo going to be able to keep it away from him. This is such a slow pace right now of where the ball is at any given time. Both teams trying to play that bully ball style, trying to get the bumps and the demos online. Overlook's being more successful at that for the moment. The Goblin Barrel trying to spark a counter. Not happening. Taha, backboard. Lunatic had to bite his tongue there a little bit. There was a real chance that he was just going to go for it. Decided not to. And the respawning J-Box does well to put an end to the Goblin Barrel attack for the moment, although it's moving forwards again. Good save by Taha.
And I love that we've been able to wind down the clock so much. Goblin Barrel are a team that if you do give them that opportunity to step forward, they can definitely punish you, and we definitely haven't been flawless defensively. Those mistakes still can creep up. With 90 seconds left, you have to try and maintain that concentration, because this is going to be one of those games that could leave us very, very disappointed if we step off the gas for any second. Though that 90 seconds I mentioned before already burnt down an extra 20. Time is running out, and for Goblin Barrel, that's when you're starting to see their heartbeat slowly going down to a flat line. Their Open 2 will be over if they cannot pick up this game. And for Overlooked, that will be top 12 guaranteed. That will be one step away from the mainstream on the weekend. J-Box are targets! That is pinpoint!
Yeah, this pass is perfect. Everything about it. Taha plays it forwards. Plays it right into the path of J-Box. Great communication, great teamwork. And Overlooked need a little bit more of that as we progress in the bracket, because it looks like that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm trying to look for the Godspeed and Salient Esports thing. I don't know if there's actually a game happening, because neither of them have checked in on start, but I'm sure there is a game going on over there. As over to the left-hand side, it's Overlooked. No, Tank intercepting, and as soon as you get to 30 seconds and you're 3-0 up, you start to think that that is the game locked in. But as I mentioned earlier, this region loves to throw curveballs at you. Lunatic off the crossbar. Hireo looking for a teammate. Just going to find the Overlooked's defense. There is a chance at the near post, and, well, that pretty much sums up Goblin Barrel's series. Hit the post there to end the game, and Overlooked will get a chance to play for top 8.
What a performance that was. Definitely could be a few parts to iron out there that a coach will have conversations about. But overall, that series was certainly better than Goblin Barrel. I wouldn't go as far to say dominant, but it is just about one tier away, I would say, Rhino, from reaching that echelon. There didn't feel like there was going to be much question that Overlooked were going to drop this series unless they really threw one of their positions. But Goblin Barrel just offensively didn't seem strong enough. They did have their chances. We did give them some space. The efficiency wasn't there. It felt like they would be perfect up until it just came to that final touch. Whether it's that final pass or that killer shot, there was a little bit of panic behind the ball. I think back, especially in that last game, to the moment a little bit early on where there was a double commit, when there was a completely open net, and that led to the ball getting redirected to our safe corner, and then we were just completely safe from there on out. We were out of position, we were out of boost, we had no right to keep that gameplay going. Yet we still were giving that passage by the opponents. Whether we'll be given that same amount of space by Godspeed and Sailing Esports, not too sure about that, Rhino. We've got no idea who's going to come out victorious in that series, and for the most part, series have gone in the way that you would expect everywhere else today, except probably Ground Zero versus Reunited Unks, Rhino. Ground Zero did win that matchup. That one went to 5. Ground Zero, after being such a formidable side during that last open, just like us, you'd expect them to close that one out a little bit earlier. But they play Zhangji Shooters now in the upper bracket finals in that opposite group. But that's not the series you are all here for, ladies and gentlemen. But unfortunately, there is going to be a bit of a break before that time comes. We're going to try and see if we can get the matchup between Godspeed and Sailing Esports up on screen, because that will be the matchup to decide our opponent. One chance, one opportunity for all the marbles or bust. That's what the lower bracket brings. Pressure. Does it make diamonds? Overlooked. We'll see you after the break.
it's making me realize everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I. Everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I.
We are back for the last time tonight. It's guaranteed to be the final series of the GSL stage. Whether that will be followed by a hybrid bracket run on the weekend is still yet to be decided. It's the final stand. It's going to be the lower brackets finals. Let's have a look at these lineups. Rhino, this is going to be a bit of a personal one for us. Overlooked Esports versus Godspeed.
Yeah, listen, there's a storyline going into this one, which is the fact that there's a chance for revenge for two of these players. J-Box, Lunatic, and Taha. They were able to beat the old Rapier lineup, which of course included Finzi and Eco, also Kakao, as they played in Open 1. And that was a top 6 matchup in which Daybreak Frontline at the time beats Rapier 4-0. They swept them in the mainstream, and that led to Daybreak Frontline going on to play Project Dela Cruz, which the less spoken about, the better. However, this is where we are. So the opportunity for Godspeed to come through and try and maybe right the wrongs of Open 1 is strong, but Overlooked, they already have previous with two of these players, and they performed very, very well against them. So Overlooked are going to be confident going into this game as well.
Absolutely. This is a very Yeah, interesting roster when you look at it nationality-wise. You've got Japanese player Eco, you've got Finzi, of course, and Rigorous to round off that roster from the UAE. So this is going to be one of the most interesting rosters ever. I mean, when I saw this was put together, Rhino, I thought that someone had just messed around with the edit mode on Football Manager. This is what this team looks like to me. It's just not players you'd expect to see together. But clearly Eco and Finzi have already been able to find some success as a duo, and Rigorous to round off that roster is never going to be a bad decision. They've managed to get themselves to this minimum top 12 spot, but this is going to be a huge challenge for them. I mean, it's going to be a top 4 team if we're going based off last Open's results. And for a majority of that last series as well, they definitely can step up to that plate and pull off a blinding performance. But it's all those questions we've overlooked at times.
Yeah, and listen, consistency was the word of the day the other day, and I think it's going to be back once again. This series is likely to go quite a long way, and it's about how well Overlooked can play over the course of 5 games, not just 3. We'll find out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is do or die for Overlooked. They've got their organisation, but the taste of revenge can be so sweet. Godspeed will be looking for a taste of dessert, but let's give them a scoop of what Overlooked are all about.
It's been a consistent day so far from Overlooked, looking relatively good in the server. A couple of moments of madness, but all of that taken over by the quality that has been showed in the final third by Lunatic, J-Box and Taha. They need a bit more of that magic today if they are going to get through onto the mainstream tomorrow and play for number 1 in the region. Standing in their way, Godspeed, an organisation that's been in the region for a very long time now. Will we be able to deal with them as we did in Open 1?
And this is going to be one of the most televised matches of the Swiss stage. Of the GSL stage, but probably including the Swiss stage as well. Of course, Godspeed have their own very popular team stream. A lot of that coming from the history that Godspeed do have here, and to see them compete, especially in that last season, and miss out on a few of those top 8 positions, it was certainly a bit of a shock to the system. Now with 2/3 all in place and then picking up a very solid roster, that's glory they look to return to. We've got to stand in their way now. J-Box looks to make it happen, but Taha, it's not going to reach that follow-up ball. It's going to have to be J-Box again. Lunatic will begin to creep himself up forward. Was prepared at this left wall to get those 2 touches. Now back to Taha. Very good first touch. An amazing flip reset, but not enough to break through the lines. Finzi is tested first. Rocking as well that round's tag. That's an org that seems familiar.
Yeah, can't imagine why. Taha looking for this shot. Rigorous will be there with the save, but J-Box to follow through on the right corner. Pass to the back post. No one there from Overlooks. No one taking the risk. The J-Box would have been able to get up there and make that play. Rigorous onto the backboard. Should be marked by Taha and is. Not an especially powerful put onto the backboard either, but loses possession rather sharply. Finzi does not get bumped there by J-Box, even though the search was on. Nice interplay between Lunatic and J-Box. Sets up Taha, and he makes absolutely no mistakes. Top right corner. Overlooked lead 1-0.
And they got to do that one in front of the big crowd. We have gotten a raid of 40. And it's from the man, the myth, the legend himself. Money from the other side of the world. Thank you so much for the raid, my friend, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the show. This is the fight for qualification.
Certainly is. Do or die, last chance saloon for both of these rosters. Taha down the left, Musty into the middle, nothing doing. Eco sends it away, collected by Lunatic, but Finzi now moving forwards. J-Box off the left side, keeping moving forwards. Maybe needs a bump here and actually gets one. That hits the ball accidentally. Lunatic using the Sunday League defender tactic of either the man or the ball can get past me, but not both. And now it's Eco looking to take a shot, reversing. Taha saves. And we spoke a little bit in the previous series about Overlook's improved defense. It was still a little bit shaky, but it did enough to get the job done and clear the ball.
Absolutely. And that now needs to be maintained. Now they've entered that second half. Godspeed will be looking to increase their velocity as time continues. Taha reaches that back wall. It's great control from Finzi. We're used to seeing that from him. He's very good at playing in these high ping lobbies as well. That hasn't gotten nearly as much of a mention in this season as it has done in previous with the 2/3 rule, but it is still a disadvantage. Now many of these players, of course, are still having to deal with. There's going to be no excuses for that one though. That's the two APAC players of the roster that have been beaten. Eco sneaks his way through. And well, we ran the Japanese gauntlets during the Swiss stage. There's only one on this roster and already looking to be the thorn in our side.
And you got to give Eco credit there. Lunatic thought he was just going to have a standard 50 on the sidewall. But Eco just pops it out from the wall, makes it difficult for Lunatic to read. And then Overlooked have kind of trusted that Lunatic is going to be able to win that 50. Maybe the immediate response. The American does not come up with the answer, and now J-Box, please tell me you hit that. Goodness me. I'm sure even he was a little bit stressed seeing that one go back towards his net, wondering if he got enough of the ball. He did, but no more heart attacks if you can avoid it, please, Overlooked. We're just getting over the Christmas kind of chocolate, and there's a lot of strain on the heart already. Don't need any more. J-Box looking for the shot. Good save, Finzi. Chance for Lunatic. Drops it down. Overlooked 2-1. Beautiful work.
So good at these loose balls. But you've got to give credit to J-Box. Absolutely blasts it towards the net. And it's just that power that makes all the difference. Any softer, and that is going to be sent to that corner by Finzi with no second chances. But it's these testing strikes that force out the boost. They force out those awkward touches. But do well when you have players like Taha and Lunatic on the roster that can clean up so well when that ball is presented. The demo comes out, and it was a temporary 2v3. Eco, though, has been worth double so far for his roster. In this case, though, only one is going to be enough to take him down. The demo comes out. Rigorous comes off that back wall. Eco recovers. And speaking of double, that's a second goal for Eco.
Yeah. Rigorous puts it off the backboard, and it's J-Box this time who misreads it coming off the backboard, and those backboard reads have been really problematic for Overlooked if they're not defending their backboard and trying to read it as it comes off the back. That has been probably the weakest part of Overlooked's game today. Ball played forwards by Godspeed. It's about to mention how important game one can be in best of five, certainly. You mentioned earlier that there's not a lot of time in a best of five to really start to figure your opponent out and do the right things and get to a position where you feel comfortable. So game one going your way can turn the tide. Finzi, reset. We know how quality he is in the air. Is pushed away, so Overlooks know as well. Nice and zip infield pass. But Taha just a little bit behind the play. OT game one. And that just goes to show how close this series is going to be.
Absolutely. It's the finest of margins that make the difference. J-Box holds that ball down in the corner, and those 50s are where you can really feel that slight effect in play. Rigorous booms this ball forward. It's not going to be too heavy for Taha. His first touches have been strong all day, but this one still dropping dangerously. It's great communication coming from the Godspeed players, and Taha less be concerned with that first touch, but avoiding the bump is what has allowed them to survive a few seconds longer, much longer, with the save from J-Box. Options are inside. Low boost all round to try and initiate this counter-attack. Lunatic. Space. Over Rigorous. This is what he does, but J-Box is ready. The 50 is followed, and the pressure may be maintained. But Finzi has got a very awkward ball to land. The donk goes over. Plenty of power behind it. Saviour medals for J-Box. This has been such a tight game. It's one that's waiting for its moment of magic. And it will be that ball out to Finzi. And the clean slots into that bottom left corner.
And the backboard comes back to bite Overlooked once again. This time it's J-Box needing to get a touch on that ball. If he's going for the ball, that is to say, which he ended up doing. You've got to at least hit it. You've got to be able to clear that over the first man. Didn't do that. Finzi was given an opportunity. Zaha tried to close down the angle. It just didn't happen for him. And Finzi slots into the bottom left corner. Great game from the Finn. You can't take it away from him. Finzi played very, very well for Godspeed in that one. Not to say that his teammates didn't have good games either, but that's just a taste of how close this game is. That's just a taste of how close these two rosters are in quality. Lunatic with some quality at one end, but unfortunately the staying power of Overlook just was tested to the maximum, and they weren't able to deal with it.
This is going to be one of those series that's going to be decided by moments of magic or madness. It's going to remain close throughout as long as nobody starts to crash and burn. I wouldn't expect that when you have to give it to our absolute all in a final series that either one of these teams are going to particularly drop the quality. The levels are just going to continue to rise. But in that last game, Rhino, we saw how it ended. Unfortunately, it was the latter. It was the madness. It was that ball on that back wall, that slight misread, that one mistake, opening up the finest of gaps for Finzi. And it was a fine gap. He still had that defender right in front of him that was essentially blocking every single angle except just tucked in off the left post, which of course Finzi found.
Yeah, and that was the end of game number one. And I kind of mentioned it during game one as well, how important winning that is for a team in a game that's close, because you gain the momentum and you know that just some of that pressure is taken off. And I don't really know what Overlooked are doing, double stacking in that corner. One of you needs to be there, the other should be closer towards the goal line. And so Godspeed take advantage of poor positioning. They lead 1-0 inside the first 15 seconds, looking for a second already, but Taha declines.
You're so over-aggressive in that corner, you're bang on. It's a place where the ball is safe. You want to cover the danger area. No one is covering that danger area. The ball, again, just falls back onto Finzi's lap, and you've got to appreciate his reaction time, but it's that same back wall position that was the cause of so many concerns during the Swiss stage, returning for the GSL bracket as well. I have preached so many times that back wall defense, when it's at that near post, is a dead zone, that it is so tough to keep it out of danger when you do get those touches. And if you are not perfect, if you do not get that controlled first touch, just say goodbye to your lead, say goodbye to your chase. This time, it actually doubled a deficit that already existed. Looks to be tripled. Lunatic just about gets this one towards the post. It's predictive here from Taha, but Rigorous was not looking for any extra touches. Lunatic, though, has a full tank, sneaks it under one, has a second man to beat. The third is going to be Finzi. And that's a full boost bang forward. And that's a position where you can afford to bang the ball forward. It allows him to pick up some boost. He has those two teammates as well, but we're already pressed high, and you can see them now piling on that pressure.
Yeah, and you have to say Godspeed, they've really started to figure out how they can pressure the Overlooked back line, which is just put balls to that back wall. And as soon as you start doing that, Overlooks do seem to start to struggle. Lunatic over to the right-hand side. J-Box, backboard, needs a second. Won't find it on that occasion. Taha out of the corner. It's the better of his man, but there's no one in that centre. So Godspeed easily clear. Still plenty of time in the game, but you do just think that Overlooked need to find a goal sooner rather than later to settle those nerves and maybe calm themselves down a bit, because at the moment there is a concern about the scoreline that won't go away until they do find the back of the net. So Rigorous, reset, looking to pass middle, but Lunatic stuffs him. Eco off the left side. And better of one, and a double commit on the goal line once again. Overlooked, panicky on defense. What was the key word the other day, Pegasus? Enough. And that's exactly what they've done.
Absolutely. So far, both are Overlooked. Definitely not enough in this second game. They haven't really touched much ground in this opposing third. It's been a highly majority defensive performance from them. And for Godspeed, this is definitely going to be that confidence booster. That first game was so close. And if they were able to grab the reins in this second game, it's going to be really tough for Overlook to try and respond to them. They are, no matter what, going to be that chasing roster. And we say that best of fives can come to you quick. It has been a quick first 2 games. The reverse sweep requirements by the end of it is going to be extremely intimidating for a team on its final life.
Yeah, it certainly is. Round the corner, and Eco slots home in the bottom left corner, and it's funny, this actually comes from a play about 30 seconds before the goal goes in, and that's Lunatic missing the corner boost at the other end of the field. If Lunatic is able to get that boost, he doesn't feel the need to go further up the field in order to fill that boost tank again, and he would be back to try and defend that eco shot. However, he's taking it upon himself to go and fill up his boost tank, which he feels like he needs in order to make the defensive play. The 50 doesn't go Overlook's way, and there's no second man. There's no chance of recovery. Godspeed spot the danger. They take advantage. Taha sending this away. There's a demo onto Lunatic. Taha still has possession of the ball. Off the ceiling. Can he craft something? Not enough. Finzi plays it over into the corner, and Godspeed faster and currently looking more dangerous in the final third than Overlook.
Rotations are a symphony, and every single play is an instrument, and as soon as someone loses their timing, it just ruins the show for everyone. And there have been a few moments in this game where someone has just been off beats, whether it's been from a big boost miss or just simply being in the wrong position at the wrong time, not anticipating your runs correctly. It's just completely killed any chances of a counterattack, and we've not had many counterattacks in this game alone. It has been, again, very pressuring from Godspeed until essentially they give up on the play themselves. Their attacking hasn't been good enough. They'd rather play the safety of just going back in defense, especially with the lead they already have, than trying to force out a goal for. It has been such incredible control from them that Overlooked essentially really haven't had much sight of any plans moving forward. This definitely has to change, and this is not just a statement anymore. This isn't a want, this is a need, because we spoke about the final life to the series. It's now final life to the game, and 3 perfect games are required to witness Rhino and Gex, who is in chat right now, commentating over these players.
Yeah, shout out Gex as well, doing incredible work behind the scenes to try and keep the APAC region with what it deserves, which is, of course, that English main broadcast, which will be coming through tomorrow. So happy that it's Gex and 1NE who stepped up to be able to get something for the region that feels necessary. But clearly not by those at the top level, though that's a conversation that I I probably shouldn't get into, otherwise there might not be a Rhino on tomorrow's APAC main broadcast. But for the moment, Pegasus, that was a poor showing from Overlooked in game number 2. Wasn't what we expect to see from them. We expect a bit more creativity, a bit more ingenuity, but Godspeed realistically are just stopping us at the pass. Every time we look for a boom ball downfield or a passing play inside, Godspeed are just that split second quicker to the ball to make it difficult to make those plays.
They're just so organised. That's been the big change between these two teams. We saw a bit of organisation in the first game, especially, of course, from Overlooked as well. That's why it was so close. That's why it went to OT, and it didn't really feel like they tried to change anything necessarily in the second game. It's just that one scene shifted up a gear, and the other one is still stuck on the high revs. Eco gets this one through. It's a lovely passing play from Godspeed. And with those higher gears, with that higher pace they found, they are zooming their way to the main broadcast. The bump comes out. Rigorous will attack this ball once more. It's a self-setup of that wall to try and get a shot across. Finzi is always so impactful from those positions. This time it's going to be a ball straight to Lunatic. Taha didn't get the first touch he wanted. It was an excellent B plan though for the 50. J-Box shuts down in the corner. They've got to weave this ball into some inside space. Instead, an orange car will make some pace. And that fire starts to heat up. J-Box blocks again. Taha looks to find him once more, but Rigorous will be the first to beat.
Good demo, though. Means boost bars for Godspeed might be a little bit less than they would want. Hang on a moment. Eco. Sometimes shoot a goal and you will score, but luckily for us, there was an overlooked player to get back in time. Double commit on the sidewall for Godspeed could lead to issues. Lunatic. Ground pinch, needs the boost, gets it to J-Box into the middle. Nice flowing play from Overlooked. But it always feels like that ball into the box or that final touch just goes by the wayside, just isn't considered as well as maybe it should be. Lunatic. Yeah, that's it's not the play that he would have been looking for. The stop on the goal line is enough, and Overlooked still very much in this game, but they need to be a little bit more thoughtful with each of their movements, with each of their touches, with each of their plays.
Absolutely. Lunatic is typically very thoughtful off that backboard, just didn't have the resources to put those ideas into practical solutions. Taha has the 52 players, and considering the position, does very well to keep this ball just outside that box, and Lunatic will look to maintain that forward space as much as possible. They cannot allow that ball to recross that midfield line. This has to be attack. They've got to grind down their opponents. They have to have some thought of maintained pressure. They did not get the privilege in the former game. Taha looks to find J-Box. I love the creativity, and already that forces the ball forward. It doesn't matter that Godspeed got a touch, because the decisive one fell to Lunatic, and Lunatic does not miss these.
A double commit like Godspeed just did there in their own half must be punished 10 times out of 10. And Overlooked make sure that they do. Really important that they got back level. They got the goal, and just don't give it away immediately.
Oh.
2 minutes 22 left on the clock, and it's a kickoff goal. Finzi through the bodies. Just doing the job. J-Box thought maybe he was going to go top shelf, had to try and recover, wasn't able to do so. So Godspeed retake the lead just as quickly as Overlooked took it back.
I don't understand this backball habit. Again, he could have just stayed grounded there. He would have had the reaction time to double jump if that one went to the top corner. Instead, he's in such an awkward position. There's no opportunity to try and recover yourself and decide where that ball is going to go after that shot has been taken. You can boost down, you can boost up, you can take that second jump, you can save it a little bit later. So many more options than just guessing by driving off that back wall, because that shot was so low, that shouldn't have found the back of an air. This one will from Lunatic. Harder fought to get it back. But I'm not going to celebrate too early this time, Rhino. Let's wait till kickoff.
Yeah, we got to see what happens from the next play. 1 minute 50 still to go. Good work from Overlooked to get that back quickly, though. That was important. The fact that they're able to concede that kickoff goal and say, okay, well, we're just going to score again to tie things up. J-Box over the top, feeling frisky, feeling confident. Finzi driving downfield. Faking out the musty. There's still an opportunity, but Eco doesn't get enough of that. And now Taha on the breakaway. Pass down. Surely the finish as well. Lunatic at the hat trick. The mad scientist of APAC. Well, he's cooking something up. And that is Overlooked back in the lead.
I don't know what he has been having between games. Some of his own solution, perhaps, Rhino. But this is the Lunatic I remember from the Swiss stage. Just give him the ball and you will be rewarded with goals. It is as simple as that. The mechanics so consistent, the shot so powerful.
Ooh.
And the defense completely washed up now. Taha gets his catch. Fake's going for that inside pass. And they do not know what's hit him.
Angles found from the American. And suddenly Overlooked, well, they look significantly better than they have done for the rest of this series. Something after that second goal from Godspeed just clicked. And the pace of play from Overlooked, I mean, it's gone up tenfold. Really happy to see the speed of transition, the speed of the brakes, the speed of the pinches from Lunatic. It's all gorgeous. And now, out of that right-hand side, J-Box not going to get what he wants. Eco might have found a breakaway downfield, but no, Lunatic back to make sure that Godspeed are kept honest. And now J-Box rising highest, getting the better of the opponents. This is exactly what Godspeed have been doing to Overlooked all series long. That's a miss from Lunatic, but Taha's back to cover. Overlooked might still be alive in this series yet.
Yeah, absolutely. 20 seconds if it scored here. This could be another opportunity for even Godspeed with how our luck has been, well, our fortunes have been on the kickoff. We haven't been the most consistent. In fact, the only real team we were consistent with our kickoffs against was Project Dela Cruz.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that was on anyone's bingo card, but this ball, well, either hit ground at the back of the net. It does not matter. Overlooked have taken this game. And well, if this team is Frankenstein's monster, Lunatic is Frankenstein. There is life back into this team. A hat-trick out of 3 shots. And a wonderful bit of pace to pick up for a potential must-have reverse sweep.
And you do feel like Lunatic is the star man of this roster. If he starts ticking, if he starts moving like we know he can, then the sky is the limit for this Overlooked roster. And now that we see, it might have taken a little bit of a while in this series, but Game 3 is not too late for Lunatic to start cooking. And I mean, this breakaway, the pace of this is just so wonderful to watch, and the redirects from Lunatic is exactly what you're looking for. And then this from Taha, you got to give him respect as well. Spots the gap, sees exactly in his mind's eye where he wants to place that ball, finds the top right-hand corner at the angle, and sometimes it is just a straight shot that you need, because Rocket League has now become this thing of, oh, you must score by using a musty, you must score by doing 5,000 tricks in the air in order to displace your opponents. Sometimes, aim the ball at the goal, you'll score.
Absolutely, and we speak about confidence in Rocket League a lot as casters, and oftentimes that's left a little bit open, and you're just thinking, what does that mean? What does that mean to play confidently? Lunatic showed that in the last game. When you look at that incredible redirect strike he was able to pick up, he was low boost, but he still had faith in the position. He placed high, he trusted his teammates, and despite the 20 in the tank, that was enough to pull off that redirect. That doesn't happen unless he steps forward like that. And we've had a few goals like that. I think back to the 3-man passing play we got in the series beforehand, which was essentially every player being on 30 boosts and under, but they were positioned high.
Yeah.
They trusted themselves. They knew what the game plan was going to be. There were going to be no double commits. Everyone was going to make sure they get a touch, and moving the ball is always going to be faster than keeping it closed. That's what any football coach will tell you. But Rigorous coming off his ceiling, looks to play some speed alone. The crossbar denies. Finzi wants this one off the waterfall. I don't believe that would have even reached in the first place. J-Box is going to be the one to catch. Rigorous wants more bails away. Taha inside. Low boost for J-Box. But again, that's the confidence. That's the placement that I want to see the players on the pitch. They had a few moments where they were losing that spark about them, but now it has returned. They are on fire.
I really thought that pass
Taha
was perfect into J-Box. I really did. Hands on heads really from my side, because I thought that was 1-0 Overlooked. Either way, looking to take this to game number 5. J-Box pops the ball high, just not able to get beyond Eco. Eco, the pressuring of the Japanese player has been too strong for Overlooked at times in this series, and you almost do feel like Godspeed are turning the tides a little bit, and with Lunatic missing that one, things are just starting to go a little bit wrong for Overlooked. Maybe not for long. J-Box, low shot, saved by Eco. There's no player on that far side for him. Lunatic, it's not quite a pass back to J-Box, but it does find him anyway. Will go wide, and now Finzi Musty to try and clear out of the corner. Taha, got to get there first. Gets bumped away. And that's going to lead to problems. Godspeed take the lead with 2:47 to go.
That's unfortunate. Well, this is what happens. Eco, such a heads-up play to go for the bump instead of that 50 there. And Rigorous definitely heard the call from his teammate. Was able to step himself forward. Like I mentioned before, 3 players from completely different areas of the world being able to come together with such chemistry. I mean, that's what online esports is really about. Finzi looking forward in this corner. Eco's not going to find a teammate, and he's going to struggle to find a defender as well. Rigorous just about got that ball towards his corner. Lunatic didn't have the resources to step up and grab that bump to guarantee that that one found the net. And that one's really going to hurt for them because they need that goal. J-Box will watch Finzi. Rigorous, it's going to be an ambitious attempt for a redirect. Eco's chance looking a lot more likely. Taha did burn half his boost there. Definitely had enough for any follow-up opportunities, but that can ruin the chance for a counter-attack. It hasn't here, but so much work is done by J-Box to buy some time when creating that offense. Lunatic finds Taha. It's a lot of these infield passes now. All 3 players have connected. A flow state in the final third, but you said it yourself there, Rhino. Gorgeous from Finzi, and it's all Godspeeds.
Yeah, unfortunate there as Overlooked looks to move forwards. It's a nice pass actually over to the right. That's a lovely strike. Once again, Finzi though, proving to be the barrier that Overlooked cannot break down. Rigorous clearing away. Finzi bumped in the back. It doesn't matter. He still sticks with the play. Dangerous on the goal line from Overlooked. But Godspeed still with an opportunity. Post, crossbar, all of the woodwork. But in the end, Overlooked come away with it. Lunatic's challenged by Rigorous though. And when Overlooked just thought that they had the opportunity to break out and break downfield, they are proven wrong. J-Box into the ground. Finzi. His control has been stellar so far in this series. Eco sends it back long. 45 seconds left on the clock. Now or never for yourselves, Overlooked. Off the top. Taha looking for the pass. Rigorous is right there on the scene, but he actually missed touches. Will find Finzi. Seems to be everywhere for Godspeed. And with 30 seconds left, Pegasus. Overlooked must find something and not a double commit if you can help it.
Absolutely not. 25 seconds. They could have been 2 goals down. It could have already been over. We would have been lowering the coffin at this point. But we're waiting for that Victorian bell to ring. It shall not. Rigorous sneaks one through. It comes off the ceiling. He drops himself back down. It's that double commit creeping in again. And Taha alone will not be enough. 14 seconds. It's unlikely. Every second that passes secures this defeat. Overlooked end their Open 2 campaign with only 2 RLCS points to add to their tally. Mainstream not reached. It's back to the drawing board. The team will restart from day 1 in Open 3.
Yeah, they will. And credit to Godspeed. They were the better team on the day. Game 3 just proved and showed what Overlooked could be with more consistency, what they are capable of. But unfortunately, they weren't able to show that look every single game. I personally, Pegasus, I look back to game 1 of this series, and I think about that overtime, and if that goes the other way, are we talking about a different scoreline? I would suggest we probably are, because Godspeed's momentum is slowed then. They might struggle a little bit more in that game 2. Overlooks might feel a little bit more confident in that game 2, and then you start to feel a bit differently about the series as a whole. Game 1 and in a best of 5 so important, and Overlooked just weren't able to see it over the line this time. But I think with Coach Nunky seeing what they've done here in Open 2, I think there's stuff to work with, and I think this trio, as long as they stick together and keep working together, really can do something special in this region.
Absolutely. This does not feel like a roster-changing performance whatsoever. I mean, you play Project Dela Cruz round 1, you have a little bit of a shaky Swiss stage, which is a continuous pattern for Overlooked, formerly, of course, Daybreak Frontline, which I'm not too sure why that is the case for them, because they are strong enough once they get into those further points. They just make the job so difficult for themselves when they set themselves up like that. And you speak about that game 1, what if it went the other way? And it's so evident by how that game 2 went, but that did have an effect. They looked a little bit shaken, whereas Godspeed had all the confidence in the world in game 2. Game 2 was completely thrown away. It took a moment of recovery for Overlooked in that third to start to feel like they were getting back into this series. Even if this was a best of 7, this could have gone a different way should they have had that extra bit of time. But you don't get that privilege until the weekend. So you've got to make it to that weekend. But ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for the Overlooked broadcast. From myself, Sir Pegasus, Rhino, and of course, the GOAT producer, observer in the world, Hazza in the background as well. We thank you very much, Overlooked, and to all of those that have come to pop into the stream today, including those that have raided along the way. Hopefully you will rejoin us for Open 3, where we will return to the broadcast from the Swiss stage onwards. This is going to be the floor, ladies and gentlemen. It's up from here. This is still a top side. Overlooked out. We will see you next time.